Hey everybody, before I get started, I just want to mention a couple of ways that you can engage with me on a more personal level. I have a few avenues set up and I keep focusing on one, and I figured, why don't I make a short little video talking about all of them real quick before we get into these episodes. So first thing, Patreon. There's a link in the episode description, and every episode description to the Patreon, as well as a video on the feed called Major Announcement that has all the details of what each tier offers and how much they cost. I implore you to check that out. I offer a lot of cool shit for my patrons. Second thing, the Discord channel. There's also a Discord link in the episode description, and in every episode description, I have multiple channels set up there for each show that I'm covering, and it's a great way to just engage with me. I have a channel set up for MMA talk as well. I'm a big MMA fan, so if you're an MMA fan, you can check that out as well. There's a link to the Discord in the episode description. And then lastly, the Facebook and Twitter. Social media. Follow me on there. I post news on there. When I say news, I mean like, hey, I'm stopping covering this show. Hey, I'm starting covering this show. Let me know what you think about this. I do live watches of things on Facebook where like I'll check in and say I'm watching so-and-so show, and then I'll like live comment while I'm watching it, and that'll be cool if maybe you watch that show too and you want to watch along with me, or you're watching it later and you will see my thoughts, which are usually pretty entertaining because I'm usually pretty high when I'm writing them. So check out all those links in each episode description, and let's talk about this episode. Peace.
One mic, one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. One mic. One mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here for the second installment of Mike's VOD, covering season 1 of Netflix's The Last Kingdom. So for those of you who might not know, Mike's VOD is a video series that is based on the Patreon channel. So if you're a patron at the $5 tier or higher, you have the opportunity to essentially commission me to watch and review something of your choosing. If you're in the $5 tier, you could choose 2 episodes of something, and I will watch those 2 episodes, and I will drop a video just like this one covering those 2 episodes. If you're in the $10 tier or higher, you can request the whole season, as Brett Factual did. This one is for Brett. Brett's the only person who's taken advantage of this so far. Both of these first 2 Mike's VODs are Brett's request, and Brett's out here fucking winning, man. He's put me on some good stuff. Brett requested the first 2 episodes of Tales from the Loop, which is an Amazon show. That was Mike's VOD number 1, and I like that show so much I watched the whole thing on my own. Like I didn't hit just because. So, and I think with this one, Brett's got another one. You know, I watched season 1. I was enjoying it. It wasn't like, oh, let me push through this because I have to. I watched season 1. I enjoyed it. I'm already like midway through season 2. I'm gonna watch the whole thing. So shout out to Brett for that. But if you want to have an opportunity to get me to watch or review something you have interest in, join the Patreon. All that information is in the promo video that opens up each of my videos now. The Patreon link is in the episode description. Every video, the Patreon link is in there. So get that, join the Patreon, get these requests up, because right now Brett's the only one making me watch shit. So you have the ability to do that too, starting at $5 a month. So feel free. The Last Kingdom, like I said, was commissioned by Brett. He commissioned the entire first season, which I did watch. It took me a while just because, side note, if one of you guys commissioned something right now, you'd probably get it a lot fucking faster than Brett got The Last Kingdom. Because he commissioned his at a time where I had a whole lot of other shit going on, and I'm trying to finish watching up everything before the end of the year to get the best of 2022 video done. So it took me a while to get through The Last Kingdom, even though I really enjoyed the show. Like if I started it now, I'd probably be done with it in a couple of days, but that's just how it worked out. So The Last Kingdom is based on a series of novels by Bernard Cornwell called The Saxon Stories. This novel series consists of 13 novels that chronicle the birth of England in the 9th and 10th centuries. I just want to say up front before I even continue, this is almost embarrassing. No, I take that back. It's just embarrassing. Sometimes it's easy for me to forget, and it's weird for me to say this because I'm hyper aware of the fact that the United States is not the only country in the world. You know what I'm saying? I've been out of the country. I've traveled internationally. I'm hyper aware. I'm not one of those people who acts like everything that in life is here, and everything outside of here is some weird foreign irrelevant thing. I pay attention to world politics, world news, all of that stuff. I'm familiar with a lot of world leaders. I'm familiar with geography, all that good shit, right? but sometimes I forget that other nations have their own histories. And when I'm watching this show, I'm sitting here listing all these names of these places, and I'm like, are these real places? And I'm like, I shouldn't be expected to know the entire history of England, but still, it was weird watching something that, as I found out when I was preparing to do this video, is based on like real people in real places and real events that happened. And I'm sitting here like, what are these goofy named motherfuckers? But anyway, so the first season anyway, and I'm going to assume the entirety of the show, follows a character named Uhtred of Bebbanburg. He's from Bebbanburg. Like it's not the whole thing. Like say the whole thing like Uhtred of Bebbanburg. No, his name is Uhtred. He is of Bebbanburg, which is a place. He's born a Saxon, but he's captured and raised by Danes, and he comes to see the Dane Viking who raises him, Earl Ragnar, as kind of like a father figure. But Earl Ragnar ends up being killed by Uhtred's actual fucking uncle, a guy named Kjartan, and he burns this guy alive, and he wants to keep Bebbanburg for himself. So season 1, Uhtred is kind of in this place where he's essentially split between being a Saxon, being born a Saxon, wanting his homeland back of Bebbanburg that currently, I believe his uncle Kjartan wants, but also having been raised a Dane, looking at Earl Ragnar as like a father and wanting to avenge the death of his perceived father at the hands of his actual uncle. So it's like there's a whole lot of weird shit going on with that dynamic for Uhtred, trying to place that. And then there's a King Alfred in this season 1, who I believe is actually present in most of the seasons, that is just a really interesting character, I think. He looks like somebody who doesn't really feel very regal. He almost looks sickly almost, but he's incredibly smart. He's incredibly cunning. He does have a kind of like a presence about him. Like I really like this Alfred character. And I looked it up, and this Alfred the Great is like a real person. And I'm sitting here thinking like all these people is make believe. But speaking of real people, the Uhtred character is actually also based on a real person who's named Uhtred the Bold. Uhtred the Bold is actually an ancestor of, I forgot his name already, Bernard Cornwell, the guy who wrote the books. So he's actually a descendant of the real Uhtred that the Uhtred that he wrote about is based on. So one of the things, actually the main thing that I want to talk about with this show that makes me like it so much, this show is completely devoid of any kind of fat. And what I mean by that is you're not going to have an episode where you're like, well, that was kind of filler, or that was kind of slow. Like, this show moves at a breakneck speed, and it is giving you only the shit you need in order to move from scene to scene and to move this story at the pace they want to move it. Like, in the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes, this thing moves, like, years and years and years. We're like, episode 1, Uhtred's a child. Episode 2, Uhtred's an adult. Like that's how fastly, what the fuck was that? That's how quickly this show moves. And when I say that, I chose the word fat on purpose because it gives you everything you need to be able to move forward, but it doesn't take away meat either. Like, you're not sitting here like, oh, what does that mean? Where'd this person come from? How'd they get over there? Hey, would it help if we got this extra scene over here? I don't understand what's going on. Like, they're not taking away things. They're not doing too much. Like, where you're thinking like, oh, there's plot holes now. There's shit that doesn't make sense. And you're sitting there, oh, that's dumb. Like, nothing like that happens. So it's like they give you the perfect amount of meal, like the perfect steak. Like, well, I don't say a perfect steak because a good steak's gonna have fat. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, something where you would trim the fat off. Like, it's perfectly trimming of the fat. None of the extra shit you need. None of the extra shit you don't need. But it's giving you everything you need and nothing more to get through each episode. And it moves at a breakneck pace. And that's really exciting to watch. Like, especially me, I don't get that too often. You know, for this channel and in my personal life in general, I watch, you know, a drama. I watch something that's like a character study. These things that are where a lot of the important things happen in between the lines, whether that be the lines in the script or in between the lines spoken on the show. A lot of those things involve, you know, paying close attention to detail, understanding the dynamics between characters and who these characters are, how their behavior impacts one another, all of those sorts of things, right? Whereas this is something you can really just sit back and you're going to enjoy it. It's gonna move at a pace where you're not ever gonna look at your watch. And before you know it, it's gonna be over. You'll be like, well, that was a fucking experience. And you're like, well, that was episode 1 of 10. It's like, I feel like I watched a whole season of great television in one episode. And it just keeps hitting you like that. I gotta say right now, season 2, which I've started, is not up to par with season 1. But I think that's also because season 2 didn't take, I think, the first few episodes like season 1 did to kind of build this prologue, right? Like, because what I explained in the beginning about Uhtred and being taken as a kid and being raised by Earl Ragnar, like all of that happens, like I think over the course of maybe like the first episode, maybe the first 2, a lot happens, and that space is kind of like a prologue to just like, okay, now Uhtred is an adult. Now here's where he stands. Here's how he feels about Kjartan. Here's how he feels about Earl Ragnar. Here's how he feels about all these different people. And now we can move forward with here's what Uhtred's life experience is gonna be like. So the start of season 2, which is where I'm at now, I think I'm like midway through episode 4. Those first few episodes didn't have that. So they just started off with continue with the regular story. So it doesn't start off the same as season 1, but again, like it's incredibly interesting. It moves at a great pace, and it's something that I think it's something that's acceptable to everyone. Like, I don't think it's overly violent, so somebody's be like, oh, this is just all battles and violence. It's not overly like that. It is not overly political, though it is political. Yeah, it reminds me of Game of Thrones, but without the budget and without the mystical shit. No dragons, no magic. There's a little, like, I'm not gonna say no magic on here. There's a little bit of like people who feel like they can see the future, things like that. But like no magic in the sense of like, the witch that killed Khal Drogo in season 1 of Game of Thrones, like that kind of shit. None of the, like, no dragons, no big, huge, epic battles, at least not yet. I don't know. By the time this shit gets to season 4 or 5, maybe they're going to have a budget for bigger battles. I don't know. But it feels like I said, like they don't have the Game of Thrones money, but they have the Game of Thrones writing, and they have the Game of Thrones desire to tell a story that's very political about taking over new land, taking over new titles, all of these things. And like I said, it spares you. Even Game of Thrones had a lot of fat. It spares you that fat, and it just gives you the entertaining shit. the plotting, the intrigue, the backstabbing, and a little bit of the battles. And that's kind of it. Like, it's straightforward, and it's really fucking fun, man. And I enjoyed this show. Like I said, I'd have tore through the first season in a few days if he had asked me to do it now, as opposed to whatever was going on at the time he asked. But I think there's no stronger endorsement. Well, I'm not gonna say no stronger endorsement, but I would say it's a very, very strong endorsement of this show that I was commissioned to watch the first season, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch all 5 of these motherfuckers. So like, I think that's a good sign. So really enjoyed this one. Thank you, Brett, for commissioning this. I look forward to watching the rest of it. I might drop subsequent videos for each of the following seasons. I don't know. Kind of depends on what's going on at that time, how I'm feeling about those seasons. But yeah, really entertaining show. I'm glad I was commissioned to watch it. Really, really fun. I've been enjoying live posting about it on Facebook. I've had mad people be commenting like, oh, I watched this show too. I'm like, I didn't even hear of it till he told me about it. But yeah, like I said, thanks, Brett, for commissioning this. I look forward to more commissions for Brett. He's 2 for 2 right now. So I will see you guys whenever I get another commission. Make sure you join the Patreon at least the $5 tier, and you could have the next video that is featured on Mike's VOD. And until then, peace.